One of Luffy's forgotten techniques has not been used in almost 20 years of real time, and this is what he calls Gum Gum Bow Gun. From what I can remember, this was only used against Wapol and a couple times in filler movies, and to do this technique, Luffy has to take hold of his opponent from behind, then repeatedly twist his torso vertically around his hips, and then rapidly untwisting, sending his opponent flying through the air. It's a cool technique, but I can see why it's not used very often. It only makes sense in a few certain scenarios. Do you remember when Mihawk stated Luffy's true power? It happened during the Battle of Marineford, and Mihawk says that it's not Luffy's devil fruit or haki that makes him dangerous, it's Luffy's ability to make friends and allies everywhere he goes. I feel like that says a lot coming from Mihawk, the biggest loner in the show, and this is one of those moments that's going to play a key factor later on in the series as we learn more about Joy Boy and the effects he has on people. Do you remember the Toge Toge no Mi eaten by Miss Doublefinger? This is a Paramecia type devil fruit that granted her the ability to grow strong, pointy spikes from any part of her body. Nami is the Straw Hat that fought against Miss Doublefinger in Alabasta, and I can't imagine how scary this was for Nami, just a normal human, knowing that Miss Doublefinger can pierce straight through her at any point. But overall, I think Miss Doublefinger makes very good use out of this devil fruit. At one point, she was walking on the ceiling, she even put spikes under her feet to run faster. She had a very good mix of offensive and defensive attacks. I personally would love to see this devil fruit come back at some point. If Douglas Bullet was a canon character in One Piece, things would be way different. If you don't know who he is, this is the main antagonist of the One Piece movie Stampede, and he's a former member of the Roger Pirates. However, after they disbanded, he was imprisoned and impelled down for over 20 years, and in the movie Stampede, we see Blackbeard recruiting people from Impel Down. He refuses to let Douglas Bullet join his crew because he's scared of him. If even Blackbeard is scared of Douglas Bullet, imagine if he was actually canon in the story. He would be such a disruption because Bullet is just a beast that cannot be tamed. I kind of wish he was canon, but I don't think that will ever happen. Did you know there was a very popular One Piece theory at the start of Wano saying that Kaido was a road poneglyph? It sounds crazy, I know, but a lot of people believed in this theory even though it didn't have any real evidence behind it. The main gist of this theory was that Kaido was a road poneglyph that happened to eat a Zoan devil fruit, and that's what gave him this appearance right here. However, the theory was quickly shut down after Kaido's dragon forms were revealed. What are some other One Piece theories that were completely wrong? There are only 2 giants in One Piece with devil fruit powers. Although we've seen plenty of giant characters like Dory, Bragi, and Little Oars, it's pretty rare among their kind for them to consume devil fruits, and that's why we've only seen 2 of them with devil fruit powers. The first being Morley, who ate the Oshi Oshi no Mi, which is a Paramecia devil fruit that allows the user to push through the ground. And the second giant devil fruit user is San Juan Wolf, a member of Blackbeard's crew who ate the Deka Deka no Mi, which allows him to drastically enlarge his body. Those are the only 2 giant devil fruit users confirmed. Maybe in Elbaf will meet some more. I just watched the creepiest One Piece movie. It's movie 6, Baron Amatsuri and the Secret Island, and man, this movie depicts One Piece in a way we have never seen before. It's kind of like a thriller, but there's some good comedy scenes in there, and to be honest, it had me hooked all the way through, which is a first for these movies. The story behind this movie is dark and deep, and even the animation style reflects that. Luffy loses all of his friends, and he has to deal with that emotion and that trauma, and while I do love this movie, I also have some criticisms for it. It depicts the Straw Hats in a way that just would never happen in the actual story. They're very nasty to each other like the entire movie, and at the end of the movie there's a lot left on the table. Like the main villain Baron just kind of disappears with no answer there, and there's not even really a resolution between the crew after Luffy just saved everybody. But putting those aside, this is like a One Piece horror movie, and it's gonna get my highest rating out of the first 6 One Piece movies with a 9 out of 10. I definitely recommend you watch this at least once. The One Piece 4Kids dub had some of the funniest and craziest dialogue I've ever heard, and a prime example of this is when Luffy first fights Crocodile in the desert. All the dialogue in this interaction is hilarious, and it won't be funny if I explain it to you, so I'll just play the clip.
No, 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 no! It's flushing me down like a big toilet! No, 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 no.
A desert toilet. A lovely way to describe it, Straw Hat. That makes you Desert Doo-Doo.
The Book Devil Fruit was so good that even Oda feared its powers. This is a Paramecia type devil fruit eaten by Montior, who is named after cheese by the way, that allows him to manipulate books, and Montior's power is only limited by his imagination. That means that whatever he imagines within books he can do to people. He's able to place people under the illusion that they are inside a book setting by hovering a book over their eyes. This illusion only stops once the book is closed, which means he could get people stuck inside of a book forever. As we see in the anime, he's also able to trap people within the pages of a book by pinning them with a nail. He gets both Luffy and Nami with this. This devil fruit was criminally underutilized, and I think that's because if Monteor was actually competent with this power, it would be way too good, so Oda had to make sure to nerf him. The One Piece fan letter special might have been the best anime episode ever. The director Megumi Ishitani was able to capture so many things in just one little 24-minute episode, and you could watch the fan letter 10 times and point out new little Easter eggs every single time that you didn't notice before. One of them is right at the start. You got this 2-second scene of Mihawk. He slams his sword down, but right there in the reflection of the sword is Luffy. Little details like that are all throughout the episode. One thing I personally loved was the depiction of the power scalers and debaters. All those dudes talking about who's stronger in the bar. That's a lot of us fans right there. The fan letter is just the definition of peak. And let me know if you want more videos on it, because there's a lot of stuff I could talk about. Did you ever realize that Zoro is the only person Luffy recruited to the Straw Hats for strength? He didn't recruit Zoro because he needed a swordsman or a vice captain. Those roles came along afterwards. Luffy recruited Zoro because he's strong, and that's not the case with every other crew member. For people like Nami, Sanji, or Frankie, they were recruited because of their roles. They could fill the navigator, shipwright, and cook roles, and weren't handpicked by Luffy because of their strength. Same with the other crew members. It was only Zoro that Luffy sought out because Zoro was strong. This is why I think Zoro has the most potential out of anyone else besides Luffy. The Mori Mori no Mi, or in English, the Woods fruit, is secretly one of the strongest devil fruits out there, especially when it comes to Logias, because this devil fruit grants the user the power to create, control, and transform into a forest. This power is used by Green Bull, and we first see its strength in Wano. Green Bull is able to wrap wooden roots around people and then absorb the moisture out of their bodies, making them super weak. That way they can't fight back. We see him do that to Queen and King and the other beast pirates. Green Bull can even do some unorthodox stuff, like growing a flower out of his back and then using it as a propeller to fly. And then when he fought the Red Scabbards, he turned into a giant root monster. But the Woods fruit is very versatile, and in my eyes, one of the strongest Logia powers. Luffy at 1% power is not something we've seen often, but it has happened. And I think there's a couple ways we can interpret this. First is him literally at 1% about to starve in Whole Cake Island. He looked in rough shape here, I'm not gonna lie. Secondly is 1% of his strength, and I would say that's when he used Gum Gum Days against NL. Out of all the powers we see Luffy use, I feel like this sums up 1% pretty well. If you want to see Luffy's power 1 to 100%, the full video is on my channel. Foxy's Slow fruit is the most wasted devil fruit in all of One Piece. Just with this power alone, he could rise to like warlord status, but Foxy is such an idiot that he underutilizes this power so much to the point that he's still just a normal dude. Luffy wasn't even taking him seriously at all. That's why we got the legendary Afro Luffy appearance. But I also believe Oda gave this devil fruit to Foxy on purpose just to troll people. But if we ever want to see the Noro no Mi at full power, Blackbeard's gonna have to steal it. Do you remember the time in One Piece when Luffy's Straw Hat got completely destroyed? This happened in One Piece Movie 4, Dead End, when he was fighting the ex-military general Gasparde. During their battle, Luffy's hat flies off in the wind, and Gasparde sees that, then decides to use his devil fruit power to pierce straight through it, putting a giant hole right in the middle of it and destroying Luffy's straw hat. Luffy's devastated at first, but then Nami fixes it for him, and all is well after that. One of the worst devil fruits in One Piece has to be the Bomu no Mi, eaten by Mr. 5 of Baroque Works. This Paramecia type devil fruit allows him to make any part of his body explode, and we see him put this to use by using boogers as projectile missiles. He also has a 6-shot revolver that he uses to weaponize his explosive breath with functional bullets. He just blows air into the chamber and it acts like ammunition. Then when he shoots them, they're like invisible exploding bullets. Honestly, for the power it is, Mr. 5 makes decent use out of it, but imagine if it was awakened. It would literally be nuclear. That would be insane and much better than it is now. I just realized the other day that Luffy does not know his straw hat was once Roger's. He only thinks that it was Shanks' hat, but he doesn't know who it was before that. And he's met plenty of people who could have revealed this information to him, like Shanks when he was a young kid, or even when he met Whitebeard at the Battle of Marineford. And heck, he spent 2 years training with Rayleigh, the vice captain of Roger, and I guess this never came up in conversation. It's probably for a good plot reason though, and I guess Roger's not really known for his straw hat, so it makes sense that this information hasn't been revealed to Luffy. Who is the oldest devil fruit user in One Piece? The first few people that come to mind might be Sengoku or Brook, but you gotta remember the giants. Giants in One Piece can live way longer than humans, so that's why the oldest devil fruit user is a 160-year-old giant, the West Army commander of the Revolutionary Army, Morley. Morley has the Oshi no Mi, which allows the user to freely move and shape the ground. Overall, it's a really strong Paramecia devil fruit. We haven't seen much of its use yet, but Morley is indeed the biggest old head with the devil fruit power in One Piece. Sanji's voice actor in the 4Kids One Piece dub is the worst casting choice in the history of television. I wish I was exaggerating when saying this, but think Fishman Island Sanji, but 1,000 times worse. That's the best way I can think of describing it. Just watch this clip from the 4Kids dub. I can't help but laugh every time I hear his voice.
Hey, love a girl who treats me like dirt. Hey, gorgeous, you remember me, right? Any chance you're free Friday?
Hey, why don't we worry about our lives and not our love lives?
Oh, come on. What's life without love? It's like your sword without its scabbard.